Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Thanks a million for connecting this way. I love these summit schmoozes that we don't have often enough. I think we should do one every month. But I'm very grateful for all of you that have joined in with us. And I want to give a particular shout out to two good friends who are helping me out here. The first is Steffi Hogan. Steffi, if you could come on set and say hello. So are you like me, just going through complete withdrawal? It's been like almost 2 years since we've seen all of our buds.
Yeah, I every time I think I'm used to being at home, because I've been working from home for 2 years now, since before all of this hit, I didn't really realize how desperately I relied on my summit trips every year
I'm telling
for
you.
human contact.
Yeah, it was wonderful that we could do something last August, but oh man, it's not the same. I mean, this is a distant second place, but at least we have it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
So
was
yeah.
ever since the first summit, I've been staying up until midnight, 1 o'clock every night, geeking out with everybody. So I can't really do that here.
I've
It
loved
gets
telling the
lonely.
story. The first time I met you, it was Fort Lauderdale, right? That was your first year,
Hmm.
2013. And
Yes.
I'm walking through our conference room foyer really late, like midnight, just to make sure the doors are locked and that things are fine before going to bed. And there's Steffi with two other people that I didn't know. Tom Howell was one of them. And they're
Hmm.
sitting on a couch with a notebook computer, completely geeking out. I mean, it's like a different language practically. I think they were talking about scripts and some, I don't know, VBA or something, and how you could make slides. It was the
Yeah.
coolest thing. I mean, it was like, this is the conference experience right here, midnight with a notebook computer. Who are these people?
Yeah.
My first impression of Steffi right there.
Hey, when I go big and all in.
And I think the next morning when I saw you, you said, I found my peeps.
I did. That's exactly it.
Yep. All right. And the second shout out goes to John Ramlau, who's going to spin the dials and make sure that I don't derail the train today. John, what's more satisfying to you? To command a Zoom room of over 50 people like this, or to stripe a drive 240 yards right down the middle of the fairway?
I'm going to go with the drive, but it's going to be about 250. I
Oh,
love wrangling the Zoom, but the best day worst day on a golf course is better than the first day of any kind of work. So that's just where you got to go.
yes. Well, thank you for doing your second choice activity here and helping us all out. We're going to descend into all sorts of fun, chaos, and anarchy. But first, of all the things that I asked you if you're interested in, this was the primary one right here. And that is what this conference is going to look like this year. There are many factors, lots of barometers, indicators that things are starting to improve and that the chances of us meeting in person are good. And maybe the most impactful indicator of all is what our president has to say. These are direct quotes. What's that? In 2 days, all the adults in the country will be able to schedule a vaccine. Now, is he going to be right? Who knows? But so far, his track record isn't so bad. His prediction about 100 million vaccines, he exceeded that. And what, a million a day? He made 3 million a day. Well, he didn't personally make them. Only the previous president could make claims like that. However, and his second one, that by July 1st, any adult who wants to can be vaccinated. So if he's right about these things, and believe me, I know how political all of this can get, but the fact is that if he's right, I think that bodes really well for our being able to meet in person. A month ago, this was just a hope. And now it really is much more. I have the expectation that we're going to be able to stage the following things. Half capacity at our conference venue, 125 people on site, and a simultaneous virtual conference. Now, last year when we were all starving for all of this, 400 people show up in August. I will be happy with half that. If we get 200 people virtually and 125 people on site, I will be a happy camper. It's now expected that we will be able to pull this off. Now, there are several factors involved in our hosting this on site, and here are four of the prominent ones that the criteria that we are establishing for this. And of these four that you see here, there are two that are really the biggies. And the first one, I believe, is what enables the second one, that we're going to be asking everybody to furnish proof of vaccination. And next month, when you get our confirmation letter, it's actually going to ask you to send us a digital pic of your little index card that they hand out for you. So the more of that we can do ahead of time, the better. And that's what I believe is going to allow us to do the second one. And for me, this is huge. Gang, it would break my heart if we had to walk around the hotel and in our conference facilities wearing masks, staying 6 feet apart, not going into the bar, not even shaking hands and hugging. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't imagine hosting a conference this way. So while these points might be controversial to some, including the governor of Florida, they're going to be I consider to be the underpinnings of everything. That we all know that everybody there has been vaccinated, and therefore those who want to wear their face covering absolutely can, but that we are not going to require it. The hotel knows this. They are completely comfortable with these two notions. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions about this. In fact, Steffi, if the chat's blowing up right now, you let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to continue on a little bit. So this is the first how. This is how I think that we're going to be able to make it work. Then the next question is how we actually stage it. When we put together this last year, the typical thing is that you have people who are helping out the presenters. They're the ones that are going to keep you on track, that are going to tell you if there's questions and all of that. And I did not want a bunch of techies doing the work that I thought that friends and colleagues could do better. So we made up a term. We called it the meeting host. These are two very familiar faces to many of you. Julie Turberg leading a session on design, and her colleague and good friend, all of our friends, Nolan Hames, was the one acting as her host. He was the one monitoring the chat. He was the one telling her, you got 10 minutes left. There's questions about this, about that, whatever. And we did this throughout. And these are a lot of really friendly faces, right? That I thought was the key to all of this, that these were friends helping out friends, colleagues, people that know all about presentation, not just knowing about StreamYard and Zoom and OBS, but these are presentation professionals that were helping facilitate all of this. And it prompted the following comment from our lead engineer, who first looked kind of sideways at me when I wanted to suggest this. And he said, "Are you sure you want these people in there?" And it required a lot of training. Those who are on this call, who, if Nolan's with us, and John certainly is, and Steffi also, they'll tell you that we had to go through quite a bit of training for this. And I thought it paid off. Now, this all led to an air of informality that I really valued. It also led to moments like this.
Jump into the full section boat and get right back in. But now it's...
I am sorry about that. That is my dog. Let me just let him out. Sit. Are you serious?
Well, first and foremost, everybody loves your dog. So
because he's in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
I thought that was one of the coolest moments of the entire conference last year when Bethany's dog went nuts. I just thought that was so great. And she and John made such a wonderful toss around that I just think that's a great moment. We have a highlight reel from last year. That's in the highlight reel. As far as I'm concerned, capturing moments like that for everybody, that just created the flavor of the conference that has made it special for 19 years. So there's some proof here that a virtual conference can still be human, and that's the goal here. How do we preserve that? How do we integrate these two audiences that are going to be quite disparate? Now, this last piece, that's the most important thing. I mean, if you don't have that third one, if we're not teaching the crap out of all of this, then the first two don't matter. Hopefully people have come to regard this conference as a place where you're going to learn a whole lot and then have all these other wonderful things. So we got to have number 3. How do we continue to have numbers 1 and 2? We've had lots of discussions about this. I think Sheila's on the call with me. She sat in my office and we've talked all about how we're going to do this. And I geeked out with others about this also. Now, if I were to ask you who the most important person is in this picture, what might you say? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to actually answer it. I'm going to tell you who I think is the most important person in this picture. It's this woman right here, sitting in the front row, front and center. Because this year in our ballrooms, that's where our meeting host is going to go, right in my face. And the meeting host, like last year, will be monitoring the chat and bridging that gap. So the meeting host is going to be the one who will perhaps introduce the presenter, or maybe the presenter introduces the meeting host. But either way, those two are partners in leading these seminars. And hopefully they will have the same kind of conversations and rapport that Bethany and John did when Bethany's dog was barking. The Q&A that's going to be coming through from the virtual audience, any questions from the room, if the presenter forgets to repeat it, you see, that's going to become super important that the virtual audience hears all that. All the flavor that we hopefully had last year, we will have that again. It is both my hope and my expectation that this will be more dynamic to our virtual audience, to be watching a live seminar take place in a ballroom, and that we'll be able to connect them in an easier way. First of all, the meeting hosts won't have to go through all this training because they're not going to have to be spinning the dials. They're just going to be sitting there monitoring the chat and talking with the presenter. So I think that'll be much easier for our meeting hosts. And I think it'll be much more dynamic to be able to create that environment. You know, we're going to be asking our virtual audience to pay attention for almost an entire day. And that's asking a lot. But again, it's my hope and my expectation that because they're going to be watching a real thing, a live seminar in a ballroom with people, and the geek component of this will be significant also. It's not just going to be one fixed camera on the presenter. We're going to do a wide angle GoPro. There'll be times when, of course, we'll want to show just the screen. We're going to have a wandering camera. So we think that we're going to be able to connect these two audiences in just about as much as can possibly be done. That's our hope here. We will have dedicated people who will, and it's not just in the seminars. We're going to have people that are dedicated to acting as conduits across the entire experience. One person whose job it's simply going to be in my ear and be in Sheila's ear when there are any needs that arise from our virtual audience. And we're also hoping that the Help Center is going to get a real boost here. Questions that come in from the virtual audience and, of course, from the in-person audience, but they can walk right into the Help Center. We're gonna hope to actually have some demos and some presenters sitting down at the Help Center doing little virtual vignettes on topics that arise. Every day of the conference is available to both audiences, starting with the boot camp on Saturday that will be to prepare people for the Presentation Guild's certification program. All three of our Sunday crash courses, many of you have already started signing up for that, and of course the main program Monday through Wednesday. For both audiences, all sessions are going to be available on demand. If it's anything like last year, 2 hours is actually, in some cases, it was 20, 30 minutes. You go back to the platform and the on-demand recording is available in very, very short order. Of course, the virtual platform is available to both audiences also. So it's been a great tradition having encore performances. I think that we can maybe put those out to pasture because both audiences, in person and virtual, will have access to the platform. Also, we're going to play trivia across both audiences. Trivia is going to look different this year. Those of you that remember last year, you were all really good sports when we tried to port our trivia contest in its same form to virtual. Technically speaking, we pulled it off. It really wasn't as rich of an experience as it could have been. This year's going to be different. This year, it's going to be anybody can participate. I don't know if we're going to even have teams at all, but trivia will be played by both audiences. Again, in Conference Central, where everybody's connected to it. All right. If things go sideways, we convert to all virtual. And we do it like we did last year. Everybody who registered on site will then get a rebate of the difference in the fee, and we will simply try again in 2022. Who the hell knows what's going to happen in the next several months? But again, I'm optimistic about the indicators. So that's the vision. That's the vision for our hybrid conference that's gonna have as much feel that we've become famous for over 19 years. Like last year, no pre-records, all live seminars, dogs barking and everything. We will live stream directly from the ballrooms with those meeting hosts living in both of the virtual and the in-person worlds. And a lot of people dedicated to communicating between these audiences. And those of you that want to take a chance on us this month, you will save $100 before our fee, before our rate changes on May 1st. So that's the drill, ladies and gentlemen. And at this point, I know that, many of you ask a lot of really good questions about this, and there's probably more. Let me just queue up a few of these, and Steffi, you should interject at any time with comments that people have. Kim Toya Williams asked if hotel amenities will be fully available. Great question. You know the important stuff like the bar and the pool. And I've asked our hotel contacts, and Sheila, you could chime in if you want, but as far as I know, everything is going to be, there's Kim Toya. Thanks for asking that question. Kim Toya, I think that the hotel is going to be completely open.
It will.
Certainly the pool. Definitely the bar and
restaurants.
I think we'll have good news for you.
Yep.
Great. The pool is a must.
and now Forgive me for not remembering. Were you with us in 2017 when the first time we were at Clearwater Beach?
Yes, that was my first year.
Wonderful. Okay. So you may remember that it was a little bit of a stroll to get to the beach. It was over a quarter of a mile.
Not bad, though.
Not bad. If you want to walk along the beach, though, you should be able to do that without having to get to the shore. This shoreline is very different. When you leave the hotel, you will cross a very small street that, if I recall, is only used for trolleys and bicycles. And then you are at the beach. So you will not only have the pool, but you will have fantastic access to the beach.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you. Susan Lipinski asks, if I sign up for the virtual and it turns out that I can attend in person, can I get a credit toward the in-person event? Yes, you absolutely can. Anybody can upgrade to, upgrade, I shouldn't use that term, can choose to then pay the additional and come in person. And of course, 100% of your virtual fee gets applied to that. If you want to go in the other direction, you will be able to, up until a certain point. There's going to come a time where we are going to have to commit to numbers. So if you want to convert from in-person to virtual, then there will be, at some point, there'll be like a cancellation fee, just like there always has been across our entire time. And Sheila and I will communicate that more clearly once we get into those windows. Let's see, Nellie, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. How will the hybrid experience for next year's summit work? Will there be ways for virtual attendees to network? Our platform is very network friendly. In fact, it even has a matchmaking feature where it will look at your profile and suggest other people whose profiles are similar to yours in terms of interests and things like that. So yes, while networking is never the same when it's virtual as in person, platforms today, these virtual conference platforms are getting more and more sophisticated, and ours since last year has evolved also. And one of the ways is in networking like that. Steffi, what else can we talk about here about the conference before we degenerate into chaos and anarchy?
Well, let's see. I've got a couple questions and some interesting, fun comments. Let's start with a question. Will you be using the same platform as last year for virtual?
We will be using the same platform. It's called SwapCard. And I'll let the other shoe drop in a moment. But that platform worked very well for us. And our lead engineer has held almost a dozen events since then with that same platform. Now, those of you that were with us last year might recall we had issues each morning. We had issues with people not being able to initially get in. Once they got in, everything was fine, but there were about 5 or 10 minutes of frustration among many people. I've been assured by SwapCard, the name of the platform, that they've addressed those issues. And our engineer who's done those dozen events has said that it has not happened in any of the events since. So our confidence is high that we were like on the bleeding edge last year with this, as were almost every single conference organizer who chose any platform. There was a lot of blood to be shed last summer in one fashion or another. Our confidence is high that those have been addressed. I'm sure there'll be other issues. This crap happens. But yes, we're going to stay with that platform. We liked its flexibility. We were able to create our own virtual broadcast studio in there. So yes, SwapCard for next year.
Another question that has come up: will there be pre-sum 21 masks for us to wear and show off our pride?
So that's a good one.
Yes.
I should say yes.
I'll bring some puffy paint.
But the last thing I have to be really careful here, because there are two last things. The last thing I want to do is make anybody feel uncomfortable who wants to wear a face covering. But the last thing I want to do is tell people that they have to wear them, or give any impression at all that people should wear their masks. I want people to come to the conference comfortable in the notion that they don't have to. So I'm really going to have to walk a tightrope with this one. As much as cool as it would be to have designer masks, Steffi, I just don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. We could have a class on if you don't want to wear it, we can show how to creatively put it on your badge lanyard thing, and you know.
Yeah,
you can innovate.
I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is there.
Oh, that's a good point, Rick. Brett Schneider, masks should still be worn everywhere else in Florida, so they could be used when we leave the hotel.
Thank you, Rick B, because also it's quite possible that we will be required to wear masks in the hotel lobby and in walking into the restaurant and stuff like that. So that's a good point. While Florida is sort of a phenomenon unto itself, Pinellas County, where Clearwater Beach resides, has actually had much stricter adherences and also very low COVID spread for the last year. So it's quite possible. In fact, I'll even say likely that in September we still will need to wear masks elsewhere. So, okay, that actually does feed a little fuel to the fire of maybe getting some designer summit masks. Hey, Sheila, maybe we can do a sponsorship around that, eh?
I just put a note in the chat that we'll definitely look into that.
All right. What else?
Let's see. Mona says, I love that we will now have access to the events we cannot attend. That's a huge value for me. And then some guy says, everything about last year's con was great except for that horrible keynote by that Mike Parkinson guy.
That must have been Mike himself, eh?
Yes. And then Emily said something clever that I tried to cut and paste, but accidentally pasted Mike's comment a second time. So I might find that later and bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, somebody else has asked, what about social events? And the line in the sand is the trivia contest. We're all going to do the trivia contest together, but we're not going to try to intermingle social events. I think that would be a bridge too far. I think that the in-person audience shouldn't have to feel like they're on stage when they're socializing, and we'll have dedicated social events for the virtual crowd, like we did last year. So I'm going to separate those two. Now, one thing I will want to do is for the Zoom happy hours that we'll have for the virtual audience, we'll make sure that many of their favorite people, their favorite speakers and personalities of the conference will be joining in on those. So we'll intermingle that way, but social events are going to stay separate outside, other than the trivia contest. Okay. Any other questions that I can answer about the conference? Please let us know in the chat. Can you be the guy that tells the audience when to laugh and clap for the speakers that need it? Emily, is that what I've been reduced to?